Everybody, Kid Cummings here at the Power of Peace Studio with my friend Chino, and we're talking about Selma, Alabama. So in 2015, beginning of the year, I went to Selma, Alabama. I'd gone to the Civil Rights Museum in Montgomery just to learn more about the struggle and where it started with Dr. King. I've been following Dr. King for a long time. And so I went there by myself one day, and I was just caught up in the martyr section of the Civil Rights Museum there. And I'd heard a lot about Selma, but I'd never been there. And so I was just moved that day to drive over. It's less than an hour. It's actually 54 miles away. That was the march that Martin and the brothers and sisters made on March 21st, 1965. So on the 50th anniversary, that was where my heart was. So I went to Selma, and I went out on that famous bridge over the Alabama River. It was a beautiful day, and I was standing up there and I was praying. And I just felt like God was calling me to go to Selma, but I didn't know why. And so I was asking him, what do you want me to do that day as I was praying? I came down off that bridge, and I had asked him for a sign. And I stepped off the curb onto the road, and I almost stepped on it. And I've got the Bible as it was, but I almost stepped on the Bible. And this tattered, torn into 3 pieces, tire tracks, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, who drops the Bible and doesn't pick it up? Or who's driving down the road and just throws the word of the Lord out the window? And so I stopped and I looked at it, and here's the crazy thing is my favorite passage in the whole Bible was top, front, center. And that's Mark 2:17. It's not the healthy need, doctor, but the sick. And so I figured that was a sign. I'm kind of dull sometimes, but I figured it was a sign. So I'm driving back down that famous stretch, Highway 80, where Dr. King and all the beautiful brothers and sisters marched for voting rights for the people in the South that were being denied those. They had been granted them in 1964, the year before. And so I was driving back, I called my son, and I said, I think we're supposed to march. And we set up this march. So the week before, President Obama and all the media and the whole world was focused on the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Me and a little ragtag band of young people and this one dude, with bad joints, set off, and we marched 54 miles. We did about 20 miles a day, 3 days. The exact route that Dr. King went, we walked in his footsteps. And so that kind of imprinted Selma on my heart. But then I went back to things as normal. It was a powerful experience. CNN did a piece on it. It's really cool. But then 3 years later, Selma reached out to me, which it blew my mind. And it was an honor. The city council there and a couple of concerned pastors and business leaders heard about what we were doing with the Power of Peace project and invited us to come out there. And we got in discussions with the city. And now we're doing work there. And I'm going over every couple of weeks, and we're meeting with pastors and elected officials and educators and coaches. And now we're operating in 4 schools, and we're working with kids. Crime and violence is rampant in this beautiful, iconic city. And young people are dying, and beautiful kids have lost their way. It's become a really, really tough city that the world has forgotten about. Yeah. So we decided to do something special, and that's what we're going to be talking about here. About 3 years ago, I had this vision of Pop Freedom Rides, Power Peace Project they call us Pop. So why don't we take a young generation and start taking them to historical civil rights places and teaching them where they come from. Not just black kids, brown kids, white kids, young people. Cuban kids, there you go. That maybe nobody's ever taught them, the people that paid the ultimate price so we people could have freedom to be who we want to be, and live our life. The magic started when we got to Montgomery. Yeah. And we went to the Civil Rights Museum there, which is very powerful. And it's a tribute to 40 of the brothers and sisters that gave their lives for the Civil Rights Movement. And there's countless others. There's many that they don't really even know, what happened to certain people. Totally. But these 40 they featured, and we gathered in that room, and Miss Bonner and our guide and some of us, we talked about the significance of what those men and women did, because that was very powerful. And then we went to a beautiful church with Pastor John Grayson, the Gospel Tabernacle Church, and we got to interact with the community. But tell about what we did that afternoon.
Yeah, I think obviously coming from a moment where you see, you know of Emmett Till and you know of Martin Luther King, but then to watch all these other stories of men and women who gave their life for this, and men and women who honestly got their life taken for this, and we're being totally honest, and coming out of that with a mindset of not hate or like I'm frustrated with the white man, but it was spoken of in the van, and we were able to kind of talk through like, yo, this is what hate breeds. But our responsibility is to go in here and be able to show hope, love, etc., etc. It gave us a heart. It prepared our heart, I think, for this next moment, which we were able to serve. How many families did we serve there?
I think 300.
Yeah,
they brought laundry baskets.
It was hilarious. It was so cool because it was the city of Selma. This was the heart and soul of it. Though they were coming to be able to receive something, not a handout. It was a church that was blessing them with resources, and good resources, if I say so myself. Like, I wanted to take one of those bags for myself. None of that stuff was like off
crates. They got groceries. They just didn't get a hot plate.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. So it was really cool. Me, myself, I'm a Cuban, right? And my kids are Cuban. And it was really cool for them, number one, to experience that. But then to sit there, they were with Chief Wayne Denard from the Aqua Police Department. And they were passing out meat and chicken to everybody. And it was just amazing to watch that. And all of the kids from North Cobb were passing out. And then it wasn't just giving them stuff. But what was cool about it was that we actually would grab the trays and we would walk with them to the car.
In the rain.
In the rain. And then all of a sudden they were able to have a conversation with them. And I was able to tell my story. You were able to tell your story. So many of the kids, and their eyes would light up and they're just like, yo, there's a way out.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was the most powerful thing.
Powerful. And then we had that event on Saturday night. And so what we had done ahead of time is we pulled together, we brought community leaders from Ackworth.
Yeah.
But then Selma, the mayor came, the city council came. We had a senator, Alabama senator that was there. We had obviously educators, a lot of young kids. That was so cool because we looked out and it wasn't just a bunch of grown folks. It was young kids and we got them on stage. You know, the Selma, we're working with a couple of basketball teams over there. And they're rival basketball teams. When I say rival, it's not just like cheerleaders, you know, throwing things back and forth. There's some real drama sometimes between the schools. And so we got representatives from both those teams that get up and talk about what Protect the Dream means to them, which is one of our flagship programs. So
those coaches were hugging on stage.
Oh my gosh.
From rival schools.
Rival coaches that grew up playing together and said, hey, we're cool with one another, but we don't really talk much. Well, Pop has brought them together, and they were, you know, arm in arm, and it was such a symbol for the city because this is a city that's known for the struggle, sacrifice, pain. And one of the things that breaks my heart that I'm committed to trying to help change is that city, rightly so, feels like they've been used. The last 50 years. People show up whenever there's a significant king holiday. They get a photo op on the bridge. And then make a lot of promises, and then they leave. And I'm not sensing that. I've been told that. Because they're looking at me like, are you just like everybody else? You're going to show up for a minute and get a good story and then leave? And I've had to tell them, even as recent as yesterday, don't believe what I say. Watch what I do. So that night, the feature was you telling your story, which is a powerful story of redemption. And so how'd that feel?
Yeah, I think it was amazing. I think Double, ATL, I think he kind of set the tone. And it was funny because he had this performance that he did. And in the performance, he stopped towards the end of it and just did like an a cappella and was able to just kind of speak to them. And it was just incredible to watch as these kids were like bright-eyed, like, you're speaking my language. And it was just beautiful to see that. So the hearts were open, people were excited. There was like an expectation in the School of Discovery. It just felt good, like the whole atmosphere felt good. But there was a moment when I was speaking that I looked down from the platform and I saw them all across the front, man, in their face. You can tell that they were teenagers.
They're boys.
They were boys, 15, 16, 17 years old. And they're just wide-eyed, teary-eyed, like, yo, we can actually do something with our life. That's what it felt like. You look over at the kids from Selma and from Selma, South Selma, and you see their eyes, they're just like stuck to the stage, and you're able to give them hope. I think that's the moment where I think you stumbled upon that Bible, because that was giving medicine to somebody who needed the medicine.
That's it. we want people to know how they can help. And if you've watched this and this has moved you, inspired you, if you want to look into going over with us, or obviously we're raising support because we want this to be sustainable. We're going to make it real easy for you. You just go to powerofpeaceproject.com. Lastly, just pay attention when you get that little thought, that little nudge, that little tap, like go help that person, or I want you to. People, a lot of times we get that feeling and we're just like, yeah, I ought to do that. And then life happens again. Make a move. So whether it's helping out the Power of Peace or whether it's getting involved in your local community, whatever it is, give. This world needs givers. And so I always say, we'll see you on the field because miracles happen out there. They don't happen behind stained glass. I mean, good stuff happens there. But really, he was all about out there.
Monday through Saturday.
With the people, right?
That's right.
See you soon.